Welcome back, everybody, and happy Friday morning to everybody, or Friday evening, or whenever you're watching this video. But it's Friday for Mia and I. Mia Ruiz is a wonderful actress and a producer who we're going to talk to next. She is a working actress, and she's somebody who kind of is the embodiment of hustle. There's all sorts of things that she's doing, and that's the reality of our business. All of us have to do many things in order to survive in this business. And that's why I'm so excited to welcome her to the program. Please welcome again, Mia Ruiz.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Alan. Much appreciated. And yes, like you mentioned, it's a lot of hats that one has to wear to make it in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that you and I kind of got in touch with each other is you reached out to me. You came across my program. You reached out saying, "Hey, I'm a producer. I'm an actress. I would love to talk to you further." And yeah, absolutely.
Here we are.
Yeah, that's really what it's about. You're in Texas, which I'm in Chicago, so both of us are in the secondary market. So we have to work twice as hard as everybody else in order to make any headway into our industry.
Yes. It is very difficult, especially in Texas, when it's very there's not that many tax breaks or tax incentives in Texas, and that's what makes it very difficult. I'm going to say it because it is truth facts. There is a tax incentive break in Texas, but that begins at a $5 million budget. So at that budget, you really don't care about tax breaks.
Yeah. Well, Texas, and again, I've been to Texas a few times. I have friends who live in Texas, so I'm going to use that as an opportunity to make fun of it a little bit. But I think Texas is under the opinion that working in Texas is incentive enough. So
yes, you're I've never heard it that way, but you're absolutely right. That is one way to put it. It's a clever way to put it, actually. And it's very difficult. And having Louisiana next to us, and that's a very busy market, just as yourself with New York. It's impossible to compete. So it makes it that much difficult for us. So you have to multitask and wear many different hats. Right now, I'm picking up editing, which I didn't think I wanted to, but I'm going to have to because it's just so much, especially when you're working on marketing and being on podcasts and on, media, all of that. You get great takes, but every now and then you'll get that one little glimpse of not perfect and you want to remove it.
Yep.
And to hire someone, it's not, pennies and nickels. You're talking, dollars and hundreds of dollars just to remove a clip. So you have to learn how to do it. And it's just the basics. It's nothing professional, but just enough to get you above that obstacle, per se.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing, but working on two films right now, and there's one that's about to be out and premiere. There's another one that I'm looking into. It gets overwhelming, but if you love it and you have passion for acting, it doesn't become a burden, if that makes any sense.
It's true.
You love it. It's a passion. You can do it 24/7, and it's the love of acting, and that's what you have to do if you really love if you really love acting. It's a lot of like you said, like you mentioned earlier, hustle. A lot of hustle.
Yeah, and there are a few things that I want to kind of dive into a little bit based on what you just mentioned. But in terms of the love of acting, what a lot of people that I speak to, they have that love of acting, and then kind of life starts weighing in, and life starts throwing things in your direction, and there is a concept that all of us are familiar with, which is a concept of give and receive, and those have to be in balance. And even if you're not receiving financial rewards for doing acting, then the emphasis really falls upon you to ensure that the joy that you're getting for doing the acting, for being on set, for investing in yourself and your own education and your experience, is that scale, and it has to be balanced. So a lot of the people put a ton of stuff into it and don't get anything out because they're focused on one particular outcome. They're focused on a financial reward, or they're focused on, hitting a particular, co-star or guest star appearance or what have you. And then they get into a negative state. And when you get into a negative state, a lot of things just close down emotionally, psychologically, and energetically in terms of how the universe operates. So we can love acting, but we have to be really, really careful in terms of making sure that that balance is maintained.
Yes, 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 absolutely. 100% I agree with you. And that's why they say you have to have a goal, because acting, there's so many avenues, so many streams that you can go and be successful. I know many people that go into acting and not necessarily make it,
Yeah.
but behind the camera, that's where they find their success and they find that they're more passionate about. And again, they wouldn't have not encountered that if they wouldn't have not gotten in front of the camera to begin with. So it's a give and take. I know, as myself, I fell in love with producing. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, and I love it. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, it's very stressful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, very stressful. You want to pull your hair out at times, but again, it's a good kind of stress because you see your work and your visual coming to life, and that's a reward itself. Now, many people are seeking, like as you said, financial reward. Then you're not doing it for the acting passion. You're doing it more for monetizing. And I understand money is a big part of life. I think it just makes life lubricant, but it's not everything. But it does, of course, like it does help. But if you're coming in, if with that aspect of it, excuse me, with that aspect of, becoming this multimillionaire, off this one idea, I'm sorry to burst that bubble. But it's a, it's a one in a million. It's like the lotto. You're gonna gamble. But I don't do it for money. I do have odd jobs that do help me. But again, it's in acting. I just did this commercial, this PSA for breast awareness, and it was wonderful because I got to give. And yeah, the check wasn't bad. It helped.
Yeah.
It helped. So it was nice. So that was my balance for this month. But they're very rare and few in between, of course, because of course now with the COVID, man, did COVID kill the industry, but a lot of people are holding on, and you got, like you say, you have to keep the energy and be very creative. And I think that's a good thing because it makes you be more creative, and that's what art is. That's what acting is you create. So I love that.
Yeah, the 12-year-old in me keeps on smiling because you said that the commercial that you did, was it breast cancer awareness, or you just said breast awareness, which
Oh, I'm sorry, breast cancer awareness. I'm sorry, it was breast cancer awareness. I thought I said that.
The 12-year-old in me is basically screaming, saying that I think everybody is pretty aware, but yes. Sorry, it's that thing which, politically correctly speaking, the host and me should shut up about. But then, what's the point of doing a show if you can't really be yourself? And myself
Exactly.
contains that 12-year-old kid.
Thank you, Alan. No, I know a lot of people don't feel like, oh, that's not appropriate or whatever, but you have to be yourself.
Right.
You're not yourself, you're not really living, and it's beautiful to live. It's beautiful to be yourself, to be silly at times, and it's fun. And I'm glad to hear that you have a 12-year-old in you. Yay.
Yes. Yeah, that kid, God willing, that kid is not going to go away. And I have my son who is almost 11. He'll be 11 in a few days, actually. So he's starting to get to that point where his sense of humor is maturing and graduating to the point where mine never left. So me as a dad, I have to be really careful because me as a 12-year-old wants to talk to him at that level, and I can't. So I'm balancing that as best I can.
That's
Um,
amazing. Well,
um,
keep that because that's so much fun. That is so much fun.
yeah, I recall when Shazam came out, and my goodness, his name escapes me at the moment, but the actor who plays Shazam, um,
Shaquille O'Neal?
huh?
Shaquille O'Neal? Wasn't it
No,
Shaquille O'Neal?
not that Shazam, the later one, the later
Oh,
movie.
the later one. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. I'm sorry.
You should. It's wonderful.
Is it
And
okay?
I'll definitely I'll place it right below the video because I know his name. I've seen him in Chuck. He's one of my favorite
Oh, okay.
actors. But bottom line is what he was talking about during Shazam is that he's a kid playing a middle-aged man, and the actor himself is a middle-aged man. He's about my age, and he's playing kind of a kid playing a middle-aged man. So he said it wasn't really difficult for him to tap into that because pretty much he is a kid. He's a kid that kind of looks like an adult, but he still hasn't grown up. So that tapping into that energy was not a difficult thing, and I relate to that very much because I do that all the time, as evidenced by last few minutes. Anyway,
Okay.
going back to something that you've mentioned, the editing. I again, running the show, I had to develop a lot of skills that I haven't had before, and editing was one of the things that I had to get into. Now, I'll give kind of a plug to a particular software which I'm not sponsored by, but a software that I like and I use for all of my editing. Perhaps it'll help you. Wondershare Filmora. I think 9 is the version that I'm using, and it
Oh,
makes things very simple to kind of
oh, thank you.
add effects, cut things out.
Yeah,
I find it to be useful. There are other great softwares, but I use
mhm,
this particular one. So
wonderful. Well,
in case you want
I'm gonna look at
to,
the one I use is, and again, I'm not sponsored or anything, but it's just that's one I use is Mavi.
Wabi.
Mavi. That's the one I use, and it's really simple. I've done a couple of
Mhm.
um, edits already on that, and put some new material on my website and
Nice.
YouTube page, and of course all the whole social media platforms.
Yeah.
And then you have to continue doing that with actors. It's a
Yeah.
lot of um, marketing and advertising.
Mhm.
It's constant. And again, that's why I reached out to you, Alan, because I saw that you were love for acting, and anything that has acting to do, I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I'm there. I'm helping. I'm assisting. I have always lent out my talent to many of the ones that are here in Houston
Mhm.
that have been doing work for some time and they don't have a budget. I will lend my talent out just to help them,
Yeah.
progress or pursue whichever they want to do.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just I've done several amount of movies that I've done, and some of the projects weren't finished, which happens at times for whatever. There's millions of reasons why a project
Right.
doesn't get finished. It's not
Yeah.
just finances. This could be millions of reasons. Um, so I don't I don't discuss it or say anything about it because anything can happen in this industry.
Yeah.
It's, I was looking at this old movie the other day called Man of the House with Tommy Lee Jones. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've ever heard of seen
Yeah.
it.
I think I've seen it.
It's a 90s movie. And I never really paid attention to the credits until I started producing.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, you really learn a lot from just by looking at the credits. You really can make some connections just by looking at the credits. And
Mhm.
it's amazing. It really is. I've made some connections that way. And I did not know that he was Tommy Lee Jones was the number one that executive producer for Man of the House. I thought that was interesting
Yeah.
because, you know, he put money on his talent. And that's what a lot of actors are doing now is they're putting their own money and their own talent. And some actors don't want to do that or don't understand that.
Mhm.
And that's the business part of it. And you have to understand the business part of it, especially if you want a career in the
Mhm.
industry. I
Yeah.
think 80% of it is business, 10% is talent, my opinion.
And
I mean,
the
it doesn't, I'm sorry.
and the other 10%.
The other 10% is making connections, the relationships with everyone, because that's very important as well as in the industry. As producing, I won't say any names, but as producing, I learned that there's a lot of bougie, a lot of divas and men that are divos. I won't mention any names again. I said, but it's really like that's really hard to understand because there's millions of people that want to be in their position, and for them to have that attitude towards it, to have the negative, like you owe me, or this authoritative. I don't know how to say it. And I'm an actor myself, but it's just amazing to see some actors that come out with a negative attitude and already have a job. That I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yeah, and it's probably not a good use of your time to try to figure it out, because more likely than not, we're not going to know, and it's just going to drive us crazy. So better
Right.
on the more productive aspect, and just know that you put in your work, good things are going to come, and everybody's path is different, and we don't know. What I've been learning, and there are only a few people, and again, I'm not going to mention any names either, but there are only a few people that I have interviewed who turned out to be not good people. The vast majority have been fantastic.
Okay.
They've been genuine. They've been wonderful, wonderful human beings to work with. Some, the ones that were not, it surprised me. It was kind of painful in a way to learn, but then you have to, or at least I try to look at things from the perspective of what was happening in their lives, and from the little that I knew of the additional things that were going on, is they were not having a good time for various reasons. So maybe the reason why they were acting that way was because of the hurt that was going on in their own lives. So I wish everybody well, and you kind of move on. But I learned not to kind of go one way or another too much, and just appreciate the time that I spent with the person, and then wish them well and move on. Some of them turn out to be my friends, and they end up being actual friends who I talk to, and we talk outside of acting, and I'm incredibly grateful for that experience. Most are just really nice people. We spend that hour or whatever together, and then we each move on, and maybe our paths will cross. So kind of I've seen people who I think, just from a pure acting perspective, right? So we see people on the screen, or we see people who are getting certain jobs, and we wonder why. Because,
Yes.
you
No,
know
yes.
yeah, it's the level of talent, and other people who are more talented that are getting it. But kind of talking to actors, you hear that all the time. It's just that's what happens in the business, and there is very little rhyme or reason to it. There are millions of variations, and you just have to kind of focus on yourself and do the best you can, and stay positive, and things usually
This is true. This is true. Yeah, you have to stay positive through the whole route, even if it's having some bad moments. You have to stay positive to have a wonderful product at the end.
Yeah.
And that's what I did learn as producing. I learned a lot from producing. But again, it's even though I've had my bad moments, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I would continue with it and just make the best of it. I know where my heart is at, and I wouldn't go on a project if I didn't believe in it or had insights for it to make it better. Then I wouldn't. But like you said, you don't know what everyone's going on, and you kind of just gotta wish the best and go for the best. Yep. that's the attitude you have to have.
Yeah.
And it's difficult at times, but you have to continue.
You do.
So I enjoyed it though.
Yeah, it's I remember, I don't exactly remember where kind of this insight came to mind, but a while ago, actually I think it's I read a story or something to that effect, that there was a person driving, and they they saw this car cutting them off, and they were just, upset with what was going on and why they were cut off, and uh, the honking the horn and what have you. And then later, again, this is a story. I hope this is not a real story, but then this person came home. Their kid got into a big motorcycle accident, and they put the kid in the car, and they were driving as fast as they could to the hospital in order to get that kid there and save his life. And they were cutting everybody off because they didn't care, because they needed to save their child's life. So anytime kind of I get somebody who's acting erratic on the road, there is a momentary thought that comes in of like, what do you do? And then it's like, you know what? I have no idea what's going on. Maybe they're a jerk. Maybe they're trying to save their kid's life. So, God bless. I'm going to get out of the way so you can make it to wherever you're going. So same thing with the acting. We don't know. Kind of get out of the way. Let people do what they do.
Let people do what they do. Yep. I've had some incidents on sets, and it's just I nod and like, okay, we're gonna get through this. Just wait and see. The good thing about bad times, they don't always stay. So you have to just continue going.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I mean, this industry is it can change 1 second from the next. I got my breakthrough from Martin Campbell when I came on the Green Lantern. I came on as an extra, and I ended up being on set for 47 days.
That's awesome.
And yes, yeah, I just kept getting bumped up, and it being such a high budget film, I took advantage. I can say this now because I'm not on set. I can't get in trouble anymore. So I can say this. When they would send all the extras to the back and have them, removed out of the scene, I would stay on set, and I would just I stayed on set to visualize and to see everything. And Martin Campbell, there was a time when Martin Campbell, he was looking at me like, I know you're an extra, like, I know you're not part of the crew, little girl. And I was like, I keep my mouth shut. I don't have no phone. I just want to see. I just want to learn. And he didn't have a problem with it. I mean, he didn't have a problem with it at all. I know that we could probably get in trouble, but again, it's been years. What are they going to do? But anyway, because I was in full costume the whole 47 days, and I was on set. Oh my God, Alan, I want to say maybe 15 hours, 16 hours. Yeah, it was brutal. I had to have my hair up because we were playing like in a corporate scene. We're in the scene of the helicopter comes in, and we're going to give the aviation company to the woman, whatever. So it was a nice, scene and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. Well, anyway, I was in high heels the whole time, and my hair was up. And by the time 2 weeks in, I had blisters. I had, I mean, I was aching. But if I had the experience to do it all over again, oh, in a heartbeat. I mean, it was a wonderful, and I learned so much. I learned a lot. And Ryan Reynolds, Tim Robbins, oh, they're phenomenal people. Tim Robbins was just so giving with actors' advice, and just, I mean, like I said, I broke rules, but I wasn't. I did, but I was doing it when they were changing sets. I knew the time when to approach. I wasn't just approaching at, when they're in the middle of filming. But I learned a lot, and it was, like I said, it was an experience, and it was excruciating, the hours, because I was only getting 3 or 4 hours sleep, but they were feeding us very well, so I was getting enough fuel to keep this madness going. Yeah. But I loved it. That's when I realized, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I don't mind all the screaming, and because there was time where Martin Campbell kind of lost it, because there were some things that happened that I wouldn't want to share that, because it was just, no, I have to drop names, and I don't want to do that. So we're just going to pass those experiences. But I learned a lot. I mean, a lot. And to see Martin Campbell work, and if I was on set, 13, 14 hours. I don't think he ever left set. I
Wow.
really, yeah, because I was talking with everyone. I was socializing. I was just networking,
Mhm.
getting to know as much people as I could.
Yeah.
Um, and the stories that they were sharing with me, it's like, when did he get any sleep? Because they were filming other set. They were, yeah, it was just an amazing experience. I wish everyone could experience that in the acting world,
Mhm.
because it was, yes, I mean, it was $250 million budget. So it was quite an experience.
Yeah,
Quite
because
an experience.
it's so CGI driven. Ryan keeps bad mouthing his role and the whole thing. I love the movie because they again I am a big fan obviously of all sorts of DC and Marvel characters, but the idea that you can conjure up positive or whatever images utilizing your imagination, that's an idea that I've utilized before. It's an
Mhm.
idea that is actually a technique that even Adam Sandler in Little Nicky. I don't know if you remember watching that movie. They were utilizing that same technique of, if you're seeing a snake, turn it into a flower. Take a negative thought, turn it into a positive thought. Use your imagination for all sorts of things. And I've used that technique with my kids when they were having nightmares and going back to sleep. I was saying, hey, you're a wizard. You're in control of what happens in your dream, and if some
Oh,
bad
that's
bad comes
sweet.
in, then you have the magic wand. You have the control to wave your wand and turn that monster into a little bunny rabbit. Um, that thing is like, just for that alone, I loved the movie because it was dealing with those same aspects. So I had no issues with it whatsoever. It's still a good movie to me. I hear that it's going to get redone, so hopefully
Oh,
they're,
okay, really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Ryan is going to be a part of it, but it'll be redone. I heard, lately, and I don't know how true this is, but that Michael B. Jordan was considered to be, Hal Jordan.
The-
So I don't know. I really
Oh,
I have no insider information. This is just stuff that I've seen kind of on the internet dealing with it. But I like
okay.
Green Lantern. It's an iconic character. I hope they do a whole lot with it. So.
Do justice by it? I do too. No, teasing. I mean, Ryan Reynolds talks so he talks so bad about it, and it's just, oh, it breaks my heart. And it, being there on set, I remember this one scene where he has, he's in the suit and he has his arm up and he's flying up, and this crane grabs his arm and pulls him up, and
Yeah.
he stops, and then you see Ryan comes back. He's like, no, I don't feel it. No, and I wanted to laugh, and I have a very loud laugh. I have a very loud laugh. I have to control my laugh. And being on set and to see his faces, because he's very comic, he's very animated. It took everything in me not to laugh. And Martin was just, Ryan, let's try one more time. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, yeah, like I said, Island, it was a total cool experience to have. But to see him do that, and then to see the movie, because I died to see the movie because I was seeing all the actions of it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was a lot of CGI. I was like, that's not what happened on set. But
Yeah.
again, there's a lot that happens in the editing room that people just don't not realize.
Yeah.
Um, I
Mhm.
for sure thought I was going to be featured because of so much being on set. They're like, let's feature this woman here so she can leave. But I didn't make it. Yeah, but I didn't make it. I was like, wow. I was like, I thought all those times y'all featured me at least once. And no, I didn't. I ended up on the cutting floor. So, and it happens. It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. It happened to Johnny Depp in Platoon, I think it was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Was it? Yeah. His character, I'm a big fan of Johnny Depp.
Mhm.
Um, in the movie Platoon, he had spoke another language. I think he had spoke the Korean or the
Hmm.
Asian language, and then I think it was Vietnamese. And it happened where his character was outshining one of the main stars. So they had to cut his role off. It's like, yeah, I mean, anything can happen in this industry.
Yeah, I hear that all the time from my martial art actors that I talk to, and I know you have a background as well in
Hmm.
weapons, all sorts of things. But yeah, in the martial arts films, they have to be really careful of saying, okay, here's the star, and here's the arsenal of moves that the star is going to be doing. So whoever he's fighting cannot be outshining them, and they have to kind of tone things down, and they have to do proper. It's not just choreography, but it's also like here's one, here's where you are, and you need to maybe we're going to elevate you to this level, but you're losing. So it's that whole thing of I know some of the martial arts actors are saying that's kind of the hand you're dealt. You can do all sorts of cool things, and they're not going to be shown on screen just because you're going to be outshining the opponent. And
Good point. Yep. And this is so true. This is really true. And you have to be okay with getting your, be creamed or being, have your butt kicked, I guess, basically say. You have to be okay with it, and you have to sell it. In my movie that I did, Death Was a Young Phase, it's a little small, it's short, but I did a lot of karate and a lot of, because that's a little bit of my background. I'm a little bit of, I love action. It thrills me.
yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the adrenaline or what it is, but it's a high on life. I love it. Um, and so the short film that I did was Death Was a Young Face, and it's about these kids that are assassins, and they try to save another kids that were getting kidnapped for like human trafficking. And I went and got them, and the little girl that I hired, she was already a black belt. Her father had done like 5 tours for us in Iraq, and he was 7th degree black belt and 5 degree in martial. I mean, yeah, he had all these belts, and I was like, oh my God. And it was really nice that he lent some of his techniques to her and taught her how to do these and everything. And it's a really good movie. I mean, I'm not just saying it because it's my movie, of course, but it was done in good taste. And her name is Chelsea. She was 16 at the time, and she was small. Now she's 18 and like 5'9". She was 5'5" when I hired her. Yeah, so she did a big spurt on me.
Yeah.
um, but they did really good. But anyway, the stuntmen that we hired really fooled everyone because they made it seem that these kids were actually, kicking them, and my stunt team were falling back like if it was a huge impact. And I like the people's reactions because everyone actually bought it, Alan. Everyone was like, "Ooh," and I was like, that can't happen. But thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you. But again, it's a lot of where and I say we, and I don't do it anymore because we don't get recognized, especially women don't get recognized as men do in the stunt world.
Really.
Um, no, they don't, and it's doesn't get a lot of coverage, and it's just upsetting because the women do just as much as training as the men. And I would thought that people get more excited when a woman falls down the stairs and survives it. She can get up, and or out thrown out the window and or actually running from someone and not having to fall and sprain her ankle, actually, get a good leap, turn around and do a drop kick, something, something. And it just doesn't happen that way. Everyone always knows that when the bad guy's chasing the girl, she's going to trip, she's going to sprain her ankle or hurt something, and then the bad guy's going to grab the girl, and that's it. It's over. Um, I would like to see a little bit of more, action, a little bit of more of a fight, in those kind of scenes. But again, it's all if the wheel's not broken, why change it? Because it
You're
sells.
you're a producer. Produce something like that. And again, it's there's female martial arts stars that have been changing that paradigm. Uh,
Yes.
you don't have to kind of Cynthia Rothrock, right? I grew up watching Cynthia's kind of martial art films. Um, you can do that, but you know that Cynthia is the star, so she's going to kick ass. but
Yes.
you can kind of change the paradigm where it's unexpected, where it can be a woman and you don't know that she's a martial arts star, and all of a sudden she's running, and then she's jumping. Um, when you were saying it, the immediately what came to my mind is she's running away, but she's keeping the proper distance because there's a wall coming up, and she's kind of jumping off the
Jump
wall,
on the wall, do
jump
a
off the
flip.
wall, and then do a kind of a tornado or kick. Uh,
Hmm.
Very cinematic. Would probably take a few takes to do properly, but that would be like, okay, I did not
Yep.
expect that. That would
That
be
is true. And it's funny you said that because we're working on a movie called Transposition right now,
Mhm.
and it's about women assassins, and we're filming it right now. And it's funny you said that because a lot of the girls that are in it have a little bit of background of either karate, and the stunt guys. They're all some of them worked on Mulan.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we're doing that. It's funny you mentioned that because we are. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of more women now that are changing that paradigm and making it more because it is attractive to me, even though that I'm a female. I like to see a female in control as far as not like knowing how to defend herself.
Yeah.
Um, have that mentality as where us when you hear a man says, "If I'm going to go down, I'm taking you down with me." I would like to see a woman to have that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that attitude, that compassion. Kill Bill has that where she wants to
Yeah.
fight and then she comes out pregnant,
Yeah.
and and it's funny because when you do become a parent, your whole vision, your whole world just changes. I'm sure yours changed, Alan, when you weren't a parent, and then all of a sudden, you
Yeah.
know, boom, you're a dad. And then it's funny, it hits you different when they call you mom or dad. It just when you hear it the first time, I don't know about you, but it hit me different. I think I cried
Oh,
because I was, yeah,
I'm sure I did.
yeah. Yeah, it's an experience. So anyway, but so that's what we're doing right now, transposition, and it's getting a lot of recognition, but we're still filming it. And like I mentioned, a lot of the women have background in it,
Nice.
so it makes it that much easier. It makes it that much easier, and the men are doing phenomenal. I mean, considering that they just do stunts, they actually have words, so they're actually acting,
Yeah.
and they're yeah, it's done. Yeah, I can't wait to show it to you guys.
Nice. Yeah,
Yes.
please let me know when it's out. We're definitely gonna post it on the YouTube channel, on the website. I want to watch it. It sounds
Yeah.
like
Thank you.
so. Yeah, that's great. Going back to something that you mentioned, because if I don't, I know I will lose out, and so will the audience. You mentioned that Tim Robbins, gave you acting advice or other advice about the industry. What were some of the things that you can share?
That he gave us. One is persistence.
Mhm.
And the one thing I did learn about him is Martin Campbell, when he had, when we were shooting, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. We had the airport, we were shooting from the airport. As soon as the sun went down, as soon as the sun came up, the airport was access to them. I say us, like if I'm part of the crew already, to
Come
them.
on, you were.
Um, right. And what I did notice about Martin, he did the same take like 15, 20 times.
Mhm.
And each time that he did it, Tim Robbins delivered a different performance. Same line,
Good.
but just a different performance. But he kept so one of his lines, I can't remember, but he would have to hold his drink up.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, Alan, to see that same lines, different performance, but he was still hitting his mark. And I said, that is, what it's talent. And one thing he also said is, if you're not in front of the camera, you're in class. Um, just continue working on your craft, not to give up. Um, what else did he say? He dropped names to work with. He dropped Tom Tordoff, which I did take his classes, and I only took it because Tim Robbins recommended it. And I recommend that because It did. And he's out in New York.
Hmm.
And yeah, I could not tell you enough about him because he really changed a lot of my ways of thinking.
Hmm.
Um, Gave me a lot of insight and what to ask yourself to create yourself in that character. Um, as an actor, I think one of the best lines is First Wives Club with Goldie Hawn. I don't know if you've seen that movie, Alan, or not.
Many times.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Many
You've
times.
seen it many
Many.
times. Many. Okay. Best line I love is when she's in the movie and she goes, I have all the emotions. I'm an actress." Remember? She goes, "I have all of them." Okay. And you really, really do. Um, there's this wheel chart that I got from Brian Thornton. He's here in Houston. I he's done Queen of the South, Queen Slim, and he gave me a feeling chart, and that helped me out a lot with getting all my emotions down for each scene. Um, what else did I? Because this has been forever.
Yeah, it's been a long
Um,
time. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. But one thing it just could state is just persistence. You just have to continue in doing your art and see where you're at. Because I thought once I come up with an idea, I execute it. You think you have no more, and next thing you know, yeah, you have so many more ideas. Especially if you have the passion for acting, yeah, you can create so much. Um, and being married, I'm in a intro. I'm in excuse me. I'm in interracial relationship.
Mhm.
So he's white, and we have so many different cultures, so many different ways, and it just gives me so many ideas because we seem to like get to know each other's cultures, but at the same time we find humor in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so it gives me ideas. It gives me ways I want to create, but at the same time add comedy. As I mentioned, I have a loud laugh, so I love to laugh. I love to, yeah, be happy, of course. So that's my thing, comedy. I'm working on a movie right now. As a matter of fact, we're trying to get it. We're trying to finish the writing because it has a little bit of loopholes in it still. That one's called 12 Reasons Why Men Cheat, and it's a romantic comedy. And I really can't wait to share because there's three ladies in there that are old of age. They're up there of age,
Mhm.
and as you know, older people can get away with saying things that younger people cannot. And a lot of their lines are just a little of innuendo, but truth to romance. And I can't wait to share those because those are great lines that I have to give to the writer that he came up with. They're pretty clever. So I'm also writing on that, but that's still in pre-production. It's not nowhere near ready to film because I still haven't cast or any of that stuff. So yeah,
Well,
it's still premature.
good luck with it. It's it sounds like you have great projects that are upcoming. We definitely want to hear more when they come out. Please come back on the show and share so we can uh, I can watch them and then we can talk about them. I'm excited.
Great. Me too, Alan. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
thanks for coming on. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your persistence. I it's a constant takeaway for me interviewing people on the program of just how persistent you have to be in order to survive and to thrive in this business. So you're a great example of it. I hope our audience is picking up on the same.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on. And I can't wait to see more of you. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for you.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
And
Thanks.
thanks to everybody for tuning in into another episode of The Love of Acting. We know you are as persistent as we are, and this is why we do this for you. Thank you.
Thank you.